And then it's good to be able to classify these functions, right? Constant functions, I call these polylog, log to some constant, right? This here is polynomial, right? It's into some constant. This one's into some constant time, 2 to some constant times n, right? So it's exponential. This one is a bigger exponential, right? It's 2 to a polynomial and double exponential, right? So you should appreciate these classes, right? If I gave you a function on a multiple choice question, for example, you should be able to tell me which one of these it's in, right? It's not that hard, right? Now, the only thing that's a little tricky, right, is here into the cubed log 7, you might, is this a polynomial? Well, if you were doing high school polynomials, this is not a polynomial, right? But it's less than into the 4 for big N, right? And it's definitely bigger than n cubed. So we're going to say it's kind of into more or less a constant, right? Does that make sense? Everybody good? Good. Any questions? You're not asking questions. Right here's some examples, right? All right, so this is a little different. If I want to know what is the big O of the theta of this, well, I still have to put the log in because the log can't get absorbed by this constant here, right? It can get absorbed by this constant that's on the top, right? Does that make sense? Yeah? No? Maybe so. So here, right, to be in here, it has to be less than or equal to, say, 5 times n cubed log to the 7 n, and less than or equal to 3 times that, right? So the constant here is, it's bounded, for it to be a function to be in here, has to be bound by this times some constant, right? You can think of this big O, or as being more or less a constant. It can wiggle up and down, but it's bounded by 7 or bounded by 5, right? Now, when it's up here, right now, we got it bounded by something that's up here, right? Yeah. So what are you doing? Yeah. Yeah. Well, in this answer, you have to put the log squared, right? And in this answer, you put this, right? People kind of get that a bit. So someday you might want to know this if you're taking logic, but I happen to know it's not on the test, right? There are some constants, right? Constant 5 and constant 3, more or less. Let's forget about all this in naught stuff. That's just little things, right? For any kind of sufficiently big N, we're bounded here, right? And this just says there exists some constants that you're bounded by, and exists some definition of sufficiently big. It says that as long as N is sufficiently big, F is bounded by those constants.